This is the story of John Hodges, who works for a large and complex corporation known as Dynamerica Industries. He doesn't exactly work for Dynamerica. He is employed by the Acme Printing Service, a subsidiary of Cincinnati Publishing, whose stock is held by Pitt Iron Foundry, which was recently swallowed up in a merger by Bullock Tool and Die, a subsidiary of American Hardware, whose directorate is interlocked with Allied Steel, which is one of the innumerable projects of the intricate corporate structure known as Dynamerica Industries, for whom, in a very broad sense, John Hodges works. The voice of the parent company is inflexibly stern. It utters its directives in crisp language, which cuts across the bosom of our land thus. Attention, all subsidiaries. In accordance with Directive 112, the retirement of employees at age 65 will be mandatory.
Hodges?
Yes, Mr. Irwin.
For you.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Irwin. Can you explain this?
Means you're retired, Hodges. Company policy.
But I don't want to be retired. I've been a printer all my life. I love my job.
Sure, I know how it is.
Well, I haven't missed one day's work in all my life. Check my record.
My old man was like that. With him, printing was an art. He'd set up a bill book for some little tailor like it was the Gettysburg Address.
But where can I go? All I know is printing. I want to stay, Mr. Irwin.
What can I do? It's a company policy which is recognized by your union.
Maybe you could talk to someone about it.
Who could I talk to? I'm a nobody here. I say one word, I might get thrown out of my ear. Look, Hodges, don't you think I feel bad enough as it is?
Boy, what a wonderful day this has been. First, I get the pains in the stomach. Then I come home and I find Alice knocked over her typewriter in secretarial school.
I might as well tell you what happened to me today.
Oh, now don't tell me that for the first time in 45 years, my old man made a typographical error.
No.
Oh, that would really mean we're cracking up.
What happened, Grandpa?
I hate to tell you this when you've got pains in your stomach, George. But I was fired today.
What did you say, Pa?
I was fired today. It's a policy of the company. They won't employ anybody over 65.
Are you really over 65? And you're only 42 when George and I got married.
Oh, Grandpa, I'm so sorry.
Boy, that gets me. That really gets me.
There's nothing I can do about it. Not a thing that I can do about it.
It's terrible. Especially at a time like this, Pa. It's a real economic blow.
It's more of a blow that a man who's worked as long as Grandpa has is suddenly dropped like it was nothing.
Maybe we could talk to Joe. He might do something.
Oh, please. Joe is too cautious.
It doesn't matter. He's with the company. And when a man is going to marry a girl, he can do something for her grandfather.
It's not easy for Joe either. Especially when he's trying to get a promotion himself.
Did you have to bring Joe in?
Why not? Your fiancé is taboo. We can't talk about him.
Your food's getting cold, George.
What a wonderful week this has been. And tomorrow they tell me it's going to rain. That's all we need now is that I should get pneumonia.
Did you try wearing rubbers?
You should understand, Pa, that with a sign painter, it's not his feet. You sit on a ladder all day, painting names on store windows. The rain comes pouring down, it drips down your face, your back gets soaking wet. The cold air hits you, you get pneumonia, that's all.
Excuse me. I could use a little fresh air myself.
it's any consolation, I understand how you feel.
Oh, I know you do, Alice.
No, I'm sure Joe would help if he could.
Oh, Joe can't. He has troubles of his own. Besides, he couldn't change company policy just single-handed.
I could kill him. I could just kill him.
You know, Pa, you've worked hard all your life and you deserve some luxury. Sometime I'm going to serve you breakfast in bed.
If you don't mind, Della, I'd like to get up early.
Now, Pa, don't start giving me trouble already, huh?
Well, maybe I can be helpful in some way.
No, you've earned a little luxury.
Shall I sit in the kitchen?
Well, I'd rather you didn't sit in the kitchen because as soon as I finish in here, I'm going to start washing the kitchen floor. Sit in your room.
I don't want to sit in my room.
Well, just as long as you don't sit in here and don't sit in the kitchen.
I tell you what, Della, you name it, I'll sit on it.
So what happened?
So what happened? She picked up my hat and threw it at me. Get out from the house, she screamed. I got enough to do without you getting in my way all the time. 20 years ago, I would have thrown that woman out the window. I'm Bulgarian, you know. And in Bulgaria, we throw women out the window. But how can I lie to you? At my age, if she gives me one clap, I turn around 3 times.
My goodness.
Listen, I won't lie to you. My daughter talks to me that way, too.
This is a rule of nature. If a man don't got an independent income from his own, they discard you like rubbish.
I wish I had $1 million. I'd throw her out of the window.
Are you Bulgarian?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but I like the idea of throwing my daughter out of the window.
Besides, mister, please, we are trying to concentrate.
You look Bulgarian.
Erickson, this is my girl's grandfather, Mr. Hodges. He just lost his job on account of that 65-year rule. He wants to know who he can see to get it back.
Oh, there's nobody who can do any good here. You see, we're a subsidiary of the Cincinnati Publishing Service.
Well, if I have to, I'll go to Cincinnati.
Oh, no. No, it's much more complicated than that. You see, the Cincinnati stock is controlled by the Cooper Iron Foundry. And then, of course, there are interlocking arrangements with various other companies which in some way are tied in with Dynamerica Industries.
Is that so? Well, suppose I went to see someone at Dynamerica Industries.
You're not serious, are you, Mr. Hodges? Their main offices are in Chicago. You'd probably have to see the president to do any good.
Maybe if I wrote him a letter. A nice letter.
Well, I don't see anything wrong with that.
What's his name?
What's whose name?
The president of Dynamerica Industries.
I don't know. Do you know?
No.
It's Whitsett or Whiteside or something.
Well, I'm certainly going to write him a letter.
For Pete's sake, this is silly. The president of Dynamerica, for Pete's sake. In a certain sense, he happens to be our boss, and we don't even know his name.
It is peculiar. Very peculiar. What a strange and complicated world. Here's a man who is president of Dynamerica Industries, and what he says or does affects millions, yet nobody knows his name.
Did you fix it, George? What's wrong?
I don't know. I can't even get a picture at all. Another expense.
I must have asked, 20 people today, even a librarian. At last, I got a hold of a newspaper, they knew his name. They told me the president of Dynamerica Industries is William T. Stinson. William T. Stinson. I bet if you bumped into him in a streetcar, you wouldn't even know him. 30 years I worked on the basement floor of Acme. The president and the executives worked on the 3rd floor. Not once did they see me, not once did I see them. Not once in 30 years, not even by accident.
Yeah, that's all very well.
The president of my company, which is related in some way to Dynamerica Industries, wouldn't know the president of Dynamerica, if he was shaving him.
Pa, I've got to talk to you for a second, because I see a lot of trouble coming up in the near future. I know you're my father, and I know you've done a lot for me in my time. And believe me, I haven't forgotten it for a second, Pa.
Well, that's very nice, George. It's nice to have a thoughtful son. What's wrong?
Believe me, Pa, my one desire is to buy you a little house someplace where you can live your years out in peace and contentment. But right now, I'm having trouble making ends meet. Can't you listen to me at least, Pa? I can't be the sole support of everybody with prices shooting up every day like bullets.
I'm not asking you to support me.
Pa, believe me, I hate to talk to you this way, but could you find another job?
Another job? Don't you understand, son? I want my job.
What's so wonderful about your job? For 30 years, you've been working in one corner of that stinking basement floor. You don't talk to anybody. You've never even seen your own boss.
I love my work. It belongs to me. And nobody can take it away from me.
Well, I'm just telling you what the facts are, that's all.
I don't need you to tell me how awful a man's life can be without his job. If you only knew what my job meant to me. My job was my life. I don't need you to tell me how different things will be.
We'll talk about it later, Pa.
Grandpa. Grandpa.
Oh, don't get upset, Alice. We were just talking over the facts of life.
I heard those facts. Grandpa, I'm going to quit secretarial school and I'm going to get a job.
So that's your plan? You want that to be my conscience, too?
Oh, it isn't your fault that you were retired.
Maybe it is. Maybe we old people just retire ourselves. We sit around all day playing checkers and complaining instead of standing up and hollering, you know. There are ways to make yourself heard, you know.
How?
Well, speaking with authority.
Authority? What authority? Whose?
That's a good question. I wish I had a good answer. But there are ways. And I'm going to find one. And when I do, I'm going to make a pronouncement, I guess you'd call it. And I'm going to knock those checkers right off that board.
Hodges, are you back?
Oh, my goodness, no. Although I gather they haven't put anybody else on my machine.
Do you think you will be back?
Oh, anything is possible, Mrs. Lehman. But at present, I'm just going to set up some personal stationery for my own use, you know. Thought I'd do it myself, just for old time's sake. So I asked the girl in the office.
She gave you permission?
Not exactly, no. But she told me to speak to Mr. Irwin on the floor. And here I am.
But Mr. Irwin doesn't get in till 10.
Yes, I know. Well, it was nice to see you, Mr. Lehman.
Nice to see you, Mr. Hodges.
Yes, thank you.
Hulbert on the phone and Charlie Madison in Cincinnati.
Yes, sir. Shirley, see if you can get Mr. Hulbert and Mr. Madison in Cincinnati.
What in blue blazes is that?
I don't know, Mr. McKinley.
Somebody better tell me what in blue blazes this means.
Hello? Why, yes, Mr. Hulbert. Just a moment.
Harry, listen to this. I just got a letter telling me that the president of Dynamerica Industries is coming to inspect my plant. Can you tell me what in blue blazes that means? I'm asking you. What's going on up there? Have they suddenly decided to scuttle my printing plant? Are they going to make us turn out atomic reactors or something? Why all of a sudden are they going to go fishing around my plant? I don't like it. And I don't mind telling you, it's got me a little worried.
Hello? Yes, Mr. Madison, right away.
Charlie, listen to this. Gentlemen, Mr. Stinson will be here any moment. This is 0 hour. Now, let's get this straight. I want to give the impression of a smoothly functioning factory of happy employees. Saltonstall here this morning undertook to strike a note of accord with the union. Since it's only a matter of another bathroom on the second floor, we brought a plumber in. I'm not about to have our relationship with Dynamerica impaired by some bookbinder's discomfort. And for the love of Mike, some of you executives around here have drawn looks on your faces, as if you've been working overtime for the last 6 months.
Gentlemen, Mr. William T. Stinson, president of Dynamerica, has arrived.
Gentlemen, this is a visit that I've wanted to make for a long, long time.
Mr. Stinson, welcome to Acme. This is indeed an honor and a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. You must be Mr. McKinley.
Yes. Mr. Saltonstall, publicity.
How do you do?
How do you do? Vice Presidents Ackley,
Yes.
North,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
and our secretary, Mr. Stromberg.
Glad to know you.
Well, my plant is at your disposal anytime you wish.
Well, there's no time like the present.
Is there any particular department you'd like to inspect?
Oh, every one of them, Mr. McKinley. Every blessed one of them. And afterwards, I'd like to have a talk with you and your executives.
Well, sir.
That fellow looked familiar to you.
Who, that big shot from Chicago?
Yes.
No. Why should he look familiar to me? Did he look familiar to you?
Well, I... couldn't be.
Just got the word, Elliot. They're here, the top brass.
What's the matter? Did you see who that was?
Who?
John Hodges of our hand press department. My girl's grandfather.
Your girl's what?
Grandfather. Didn't you see him wink at me?
Certainly not. What are you talking about?
He just went by. Everyone thinks he's the president of Dynamerica Industries, but he's my girl's grandfather, or I'm Abraham Lincoln.
In either case, Elliot, you ought to see a doctor.
Yeah, but... what do you think the business outlook is in general, sir?
Well, the business outlook in general, I can tell you frankly, I don't know. Nevertheless, I am optimistic, gentlemen. And why am I optimistic?
Why?
Well, because it's my nature to be optimistic. On the other hand, there was one thing I noticed. I noticed that you're running this place like an automobile plant.
Automobile plant?
Oh, no offense. It's just that as I was looking over the establishment, I didn't see any elderly workers. No, sir, not one white-haired man did I see. You know, Mr. McKinley, the time it takes to become a first-class printer, a man could get 10 doctor's degrees.
I agree absolutely, Mr. Stinson. Absolutely, but it's your own policy to retire people at age 65.
Oh, yes, I know. And I'm going to suggest that you bring them back.
Harriet, take a memo.
Yes, sir.
Our retirement policy is no longer governed by the 65-year age rule.
Yes, sir.
Saltonstall.
Yes, sir.
Please notify that all men released during the past year for that reason, notify them that their jobs are still open.
Yes, sir.
I hope this prompt action meets with your approval, sir.
I assure you there's no room for complaint. Now, gentlemen, it's been a privilege. I'm afraid I have to go and catch a train.
But, Mr. Stinson, you can't go.
I can't?
The directors of the local Businessman's Association have arranged a luncheon in your honor.
Yes. If you could spare an hour or so.
But I'm really not hungry, you know.
It's very close by. We would consider it a great honor.
Is it really necessary?
We'll go in my car.
Yeah, well, that's very, very kind of you. It's all right, if you say so.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present Mr. William T. Stinson, President of Dynamerica Industries.
Gentlemen, I really shouldn't be here. That's the truth. I'm just a working man. I've worked all my life. Man gets used to working. Well, I guess that's about it. Well, that's about what I told Mr. McKinley this morning. I told him that he should hire back all the workers that he let go simply because they had reached the age of 65. I think that's awful. I think it's awful to discharge a person just because they're 65. Whether they're good or not, or whether they want to work or not, or whether they're strong or not. I think it's awful. Personally, I don't feel at all that I'm ready for the junk pile. There must be millions just like me, and they're not ready for the junk pile either. Millions of people. People who have worked all their lives to perfect their crafts wasted. Skilled workers, steady workers. The backbone, the very backbone of a trade. So useful, so important to the industry that they serve and to themselves. To live, to work, to contribute. You know, just to contribute a little, to find the joy of doing a good job. This is fulfillment. This is the way of dignity. And I believe a man should keep his dignity till the day he dies.
Here, here! Here, here!
Give me the rewrite desk. Hello, Harry? Get a load of this.
No,
William
not
T.
Stinson. S-T-I-N-S-O-N.
Today,
Dynamerica Industries.
For a meeting of the businessmen.
In Dayton, Ohio, big business took a definitive step forward, keynoting its attitude toward rumors of boom and bust. William T. Stinson, the man behind one of our nation's largest and richest corporations, in ringing words, gave new meaning to the American dream of free enterprise by scuttling the policy of arbitrary old age retirement.
This may astonish you, but I feel 10 years younger.
I can't wait to see my daughter's face. Worthless old man, huh? Oh.
Look, if my boss doesn't offer me my old job back, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going into business for myself. I still have plenty of good years left.
You bet.
That's exactly the way I think.
Mister, thinking is not enough. You got to do something about it.
Now listen, I'm not blind. I mean, my eyes were good enough for the Army Air Force. I'm telling you, it was John Hodges.
Joe, you come storming into the house and try to tell us that my grandfather, one of the sweetest, one of the quietest men in the whole world, walks into your plant and says, "Hello, I'm president of Dynamerica Industries."
I'm telling you! I'm telling you! I'm telling you!
Stop yelling so much. Everybody calm down. I'll make some coffee.
Look, Joe, you're a nice, bright young fellow. Now, suppose I came to you and I said, "Joe, I just saw your mother making a speech on the floor of Congress. Ah, where you been all day? We've been worried sick about you."
At the park, George. Didn't Della tell you?
Yes, Della told us, but Joe here's been telling us something else.
Now we're gonna get this settled once and for all. Were you or were you not the president of Dynamerica Industries?
Grandpa, you didn't. It's impossible.
Oh, everything is possible, my dear. Although I don't know exactly what good it did. This is a very complicated world we live in.
Pa, I don't quite understand. You mean to sit there and tell us that you did impersonate this very important man?
Yes, George.
But why? Why?
Leave him alone.
Alice is right. He looks very tired. Only one thing, Pa. Did you know what you were doing? Or was it amnesia?
I knew what I was doing.
Then why?
George.
What made you do it, Pa? What made you do it?
I did it because... Well, son, I did it because I wanted my job back.
So? What happens now?
What happens now? I'll tell you what happens now. What happens to an imposter? This is what they call the confidence game, like selling phony stock. For this, you go to jail.
Don't say that, George. We'll plead insanity.
Temporary insanity, if you don't mind, Della. It sounds better.
Hey, wait a minute. I just got an idea. Maybe he ought to turn himself in. What do you think, Joe? Do you think anybody at the plant recognized him?
Oh, I can't stand it. Now it's going to postpone you and Alice again.
Don't turn things around. We'll get married when the right time comes.
How will the right time ever come if Joe doesn't make it come?
That isn't fair to Joe. Joe works very hard.
But he's got to make his own breaks. If somebody's going to find you out, if they're going to turn you in anyway, why doesn't Joe do it?
Mother,
Well, after all, why should this fella Erickson get all the credit? Am I right, Pa? Tell them.
Well, you've got an idea, Della.
Sure, if Pa agrees, the suggestion must have some merit. After all, here we got two kids in love. What's your opinion, Joe?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know what a rotten thing you'd be doing. Look what's happening to us here.
He didn't say he would, Alice, did you, Joe?
Of course not.
You should have thrown up your hands and screamed. You should have walked out of this house and sold it.
Well, all right, then. Now, look here, Alice.
Just go.
Oh, Alice, be reasonable. Joe didn't say anything. I did. And what's so terrible? Joe, don't go. I'm just making coffee.
Yeah, tell him Alice is sorry.
Joe's a nice fella, and he loves you. Everything else is unimportant.
That's not so. You're important.
Hi, Erickson. Hey, you remember my talking to you yesterday about the president of Dynamerica Industries and how he really was an old guy I knew?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you haven't told anybody about it, have you?
No.
Well, listen, do me a favor and don't tell anybody. I could explain, but it's a complicated story, so just take my word for it and don't tell anyone.
Sure.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, our president has some unhappy news to impart to you.
That's putting it mildly, gentlemen. Yesterday, at 1 o'clock, I had lunch with Mr. Chelsea here in Chicago.
Why, Mr. Stinson, I thought that's when you were making that now famous luncheon speech.
That's the general impression. Unfortunately, it's not true. The man who addressed that luncheon was an imposter.
Holy cow.
Well, my suggestion, Mr. Stinson, is for you to categorically deny the whole blame thing.
In which case, we'll categorically deny ourselves of $25 million in goodwill.
Well, if we don't categorically deny it, someone else will darn well categorically deny it for us, and then what will we do?
Just a minute, gentlemen. I think at the present, our course of action should be confined to a careful investigation of the facts. Our legal department's going into the whole matter thoroughly, and we've hired competent investigators who are doing everything possible to track down the imposter. In the meantime, I can't impress upon you too strongly the need to keep this whole matter in strictest confidence.
No.
Is he all right?
I think so. The news hit him kind of hard. Here, sit up, Mr. McKinley. Try and drink this.
What'd I do? Faint? Yeah. I thought I'd drop dead.
Well, how do you feel?
Lousy. How do you think I feel? Two private detectives come in here and tell me...
You know what I did for that phony?
Now, take it easy, Mr. McKinley.
I opened my plant for him like a king. I even changed the Dynamerica directive for him.
That imposter. Well, whatever he is, this whole thing has to be handled with absolute secrecy. That's our orders.
Don't worry. It's very important to me to keep it a secret, too. Now what?
Mr. Erickson of the records department to see you.
Who in blasted blue blazes is Mr. Erickson of the records department?
He says it's very important. Shall I send him in?
Sure, send him in. We're having fun here today. Well, what do you want, for Pete's sake, and make it fast?
Mr. McKinley, I have been with the Acme Company for 10 years now, and I've always tried to keep on my toes.
So what?
Mr. McKinley, I have reason to believe that the man you accompanied on a tour of the plant the man you suppose to be William T. Stinson was actually an imposter.
How would you like to be fired?
Sir?
You breathe one single word of what you just told me to one single soul, and I'll have you thrown right out on the back of your pencil-striped pants. Now get your seamy carcass out of here, and leave that card. That's him. There's no doubt about it. That's the man.
Alice? Alice, wait a minute. I want to apologize.
You should.
I do. I like your grandpa. I think he's a real nice old man.
Well, he is.
Alice, will you marry me?
Well, of course. Naturally.
Is that all the enthusiasm you can show?
Joe, we've been going on like this for almost 2 years. And when you say marry me, do you mean marry me or will I when the time comes?
I mean right away. We'll get the license in the morning.
Joe. Joe. What made you decide?
Holy smoke, I forgot to tell you. I got the promotion. Now, don't get the wrong idea. First thing I did this morning was go in and square things away with Erickson so he wouldn't give it away.
Joe. Oh, I'm so proud of you. What do you think did it, huh?
Oh, the promotion? I just don't know. I've been worried sick lately because I thought Erickson had the inside track. Then all of a sudden this morning I walked in and it was me. And Erickson took it meek as a lamb.
Oh, look, we gotta tell Mama.
Yeah.
Hey, where is everybody?
That you, Alice?
Ma, we're gonna get married. The license and everything.
Oh, my goodness. You're not. You are? Right away? Oh, you're not.
Joe got his promotion.
He did. He did. A party. We're going to have a party. Oh, this has been the most wonderful day. Nothing but good news.
What else?
Your grandpa got his job back.
Gosh, isn't that something? Joe, did you hear?
You mean that crazy thing he did? It worked? How could it?
Don't ask me, but this afternoon he went down to fill out new employment forms. I'll order some beer. You like beer, Joe?
I love beer.
Oh, what a day. When George hears this, even he can't complain.
Well, I've read that speech. I've reread it 100 times. It was a fine speech. It had dignity. What's more, I'm inclined to agree with everything the man had to say.
No fraud disclosed to date? None? No damages to person or property?
None, only benefits. Morale is higher than ever. It's eased our tensions with the union, and sales are booming all over the country.
Maybe that's his plan, blackmail. To keep his mouth shut, he could make us pay through the nose.
I don't believe that for a minute. A little printer in Dayton, Ohio.
Then what's his game?
I could fly there in less than an hour and have all the answers.
Seems like a job better left to the legal department.
No legal department could satisfy the curiosity I have about this man. I just want to see his face when I talk to him.
I would like to propose a toast.
I don't think it's the right time yet, Pa.
Of course not. The beer hasn't even been delivered yet.
It's not that. I'm worried. The papers are still full of it. I went to work today, and that's all everybody was talking about was the president of Dynamerica Industries.
But nothing's happened. I filled out new employment blanks. Nobody said anything. Some of the people were even glad to see me. It went off fine, George. Really.
Nevertheless, I feel it's all very strange. I feel like the sky could suddenly fall in on all of us. So you'll forgive me if I don't sound as happy as I should.
That's the beer.
I'll get it.
How do you do? I'm looking for Mr. John Hodges. I'm William T. Stinson.
Oh, just a minute. They're here.
Who's here?
Oh, Grandpa, they've come for you.
Oh, no.
Who is it?
There's a man at the door, and he asked to see Grandpa. He said his name is William T. Stinson.
Oh, my back. Another one.
That's silly. William T. Stinson, he's the president of Dynameric Industries. If there's one thing you folks should have learned in the last 2 days is the fact that William T. Stinson is president of Dynameric Industries.
That's what he said.
He said. How can you believe anybody these days?
Sure, it could be somebody's grandfather.
Now, wait a minute. Now, everybody just keep cool. I'll handle the whole thing. Well, what do you want?
I'm William T. Stinson, and I'm looking...
Stinson, huh? Just a minute. It's a trick. William T. Stinson wouldn't come to this house to make an arrest personally.
I think we should let the man in.
My advice is be careful. It could be somebody dangerous.
That's right. And make him show you a warrant. Don't let him in this house unless he's got a warrant.
Good evening, sir. I'm John Hodges.
Oh. How do you do? I'm William T. Stinson.
Oh, won't you come in?
Thank you.
Oh, you mustn't mind them. They're a little on edge tonight.
Well, I want you to know, Mr. Hodges, that... I want you to know, Mr. Hodges, that I'm here in a completely unofficial capacity.
Well, in any case, you're most welcome. Please come in. This is my family. That's my son, George.
How do you do?
How are you?
My daughter-in-law, Della.
Pleased to meet you.
This is my granddaughter, Alice, and her fiancé, Mr. Elliot.
Hi.
We're celebrating their engagement.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're not William T. Stinson.
Sir?
You're not William T. Stinson. And don't think that we think that you're William T. Stinson. We'll call you Mr. Stinson, but we don't think you're Stinson.
Won't you take Mr. Stinson's coat, Della, please?
May I take your coat, Mr. Stinson?
No, thank you. I can only stay a few minutes.
You can stay for a piece of cake.
Well, no, I have to catch a plane back to Chicago, and I... Now, look here, I am William T. Stinson. And I think this is pretty preposterous when for the past 2 days, Mr. Hodges here has been running around using my name freely.
What is it you want, Mr. Stinson?
Well, I just want to be Mr. Hodges, that's all. I want an explanation. I think I deserve one.
I agree with you, Mr. Stinson. Please sit down.
I must tell you, Mr. Hodges, that you placed Dynamerica in a very awkward position with this masquerade of yours. Frankly, the results have been so widespread, we can't very well deny it.
Well, all I can say is that I'm sorry. I didn't mean it to go so far.
Just how far did you mean it to go? Now, really, I want an explanation.
Well, I had a...
I'll explain it to you, Mr. Stinson. Look, my grandfather's had one job all his life, printing. Well, he's an expert at his trade. And, well, suddenly he's fired because you say he's too old. He just wanted his job back.
Is that all?
No, there was a little more, Mr. Stinson. I had no idea they were going to ask me to make a speech. But when I found myself standing up there making it, I just felt that there were a lot of things that had to be said. Things about the older generation, my generation, things that I believe in. If it offended you, I'm awfully sorry.
Oh, I found no fault with the speech, Mr. Hodges. It was a fine speech. And technically, you committed no crime.
What did you say, Mr. Stinson?
Did you say he didn't commit a crime?
No, not according to our lawyers.
It's wonderful. It's just wonderful, Mr. Stinson.
Well, this certainly is a pleasant surprise.
Now we can really celebrate. Della, what are you waiting for? Get Mr. Stinson a piece of cake.
Oh, everything's going to be all right.
Mr. Stinson, won't you have a piece of cake?
No, thank you. My doctor doesn't allow me to eat cake.
Oh, what's the matter? Diabetes?
No, it's something quite different.
Oh, well, that's nice. It's the beer.
I want to speak to John Hodges. My name is McKinley, president of the Acme Printing Company.
Oh, Mr. McKinley, will you just excuse me a minute, please? It's Mr. McKinley. Pa, they found out. Joe! Oh, they can't find you here, Joe. You've got to hide.
Hide?
No, sirree, not me. Now, this is a family problem, and I'm going to face it with the rest of you, even if I get fired.
He's a fine boy, you know. He and my granddaughter are going to be married.
Oh, yes.
Yes, but what are we going to do about Mr. McKinley?
Well, let him in, of course. Mr. McKinley works for Mr. Stinson here, doesn't he, sir?
Well, in a way, yes.
Won't you come in, please?
So, there you are.
This is a surprise, Mr. McKinley.
I should think it would be. The old Joker himself. Well, Mr. Joker, you've given me a bad time, and I'm here to tell you that I don't aim to take it.
Oh, have a seat. Would you like a little coffee?
Don't you butter me up, you old faker.
Oh, now, just a minute, my dear
Who
sir.
in blasted blue blazes asked you to butt in? Who do you think you are?
I'm the president of Dynamerica Industries.
Isn't that just dandy? We'll organize a president's club so that you can be president of the presidents. Hodges, I give you my solemn warning. I want this whole affair kept absolutely secret. One peep out of you and I'll see you spend the rest of your life in jail. I came over personally so you'd know I meant business.
Now, hold on there just a minute, Mr.
If
McKinley.
you've anything to say it fast.
Yes, I do have something to say. I made a mistake and I apologize. But I don't respect any man who busts into another man's home like a loudmouth and thinks he can get away with it just because he is who he is. Mr. McKinley, I must order you from this house.
Hodges, you're fired.
I knew it. I knew it. This is terrible.
But, Mr. Stinson, you said Grandpa didn't commit any crime.
I wouldn't worry, Mr. Hodges. Really, there's nothing to be concerned about.
You're right, Mr. Stinson, and I'm not worried. If I seem a little upset, it's just because I like parties, and I can't stand to see them spoiled.
Mr. Hodges.
Sir?
A few days ago, you said something to the world that had to be said. You said it very well. My only concern is that I didn't say it myself.
You're very kind. But what good is it all? They listened when they thought it was you. But when they find out it was me and that the whole thing was a hoax...
With your permission, tomorrow in a public statement, I'll repeat, confirm, and endorse all the things you said in your speech. Then they will have come from both of us, and it'll be what we both feel. And it won't be a hoax anymore.
Well, I don't know what to say.
You knew what to say, and you said it at the right time. You're a great man, Mr. Hodges.
You too, Mr. Stinson.
And as for McKinley firing you, well, I'm sure you'll find yourself very quickly reinstated.
Mr. Stinson, am I right in assuming that if the company hires back one of the old men, that it will hire back all the others?
Mr. Hodges, you won a complete victory. The field is yours. There'll be no exceptions. Now, may I use your telephone for a minute,
sure.
please?
Come right in here. Come right. Here, give me your hat and coat.